Hello everybody and welcome to the 2010 WWE Draft. Obviously the 2009 one only happened back in November, but as I said before, after WrestleMania every year we're going to do the draft. So this one will help balance out the rosters for the remaining month left of SVR 11, as well as obviously get it set for 12 as well, because we're going to be carrying this roster over to that one. So first things first, we're going to sort out the women's divisions on SmackDown and Raw. As you may know, SmackDown has 7 women, whilst Raw has 4 women. So we're going to fix the division first and foremost by just taking one woman from SmackDown and adding her to Raw. So that's going to be the first pick, and then we'll get on to the more traditional side of the draft afterwards. So, I honestly can't believe that it went with this as the draft pick, but the first pick of the draft is the women's champion, Michelle McCool, who is going to Raw with the women's title. Now, I put the champions in the only championships that, well, to be fair, even the world titles can be drafted, actually, so never mind. All champions will be involved in the draft, well, except for the tag, because they're color-coded. I feel like putting the World Tag Team Champions on SmackDown just looks strange, just wrong. So those ones aren't going to be up for grabs. But everything else is. I know that sounds really weird, but that's just the way I'm doing it. So first up, yeah, the women's champion of SmackDown, Michelle McCool, is the first one to go. Then, with that, we should now have, what, 5 women, yeah, on Raw, and 6 on SmackDown? No. Well, 7 still, technically, because Michelle McCool's the women's champion, my bad. Yeah, so we've got 6 on SmackDown, 5 on Raw, and that's just the way we're going to keep it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to exchange 2 women from SmackDown and Raw. So first up, who are the 2 going to Raw? That is what we're going to find out first. So first up, going to Raw, in a very underwhelming draft pick, local competitor Nikki Bella makes a monumental brand swap to Raw. I know you're just quaking in excitement. I need to take her off the wheel because it just landed on her a second time too. Next up, going to Raw to join Nikki Bella and Michelle McCool. Why, it's none other than Tiny Shiny going over to Raw. Okay. Don't think that Saria would be too thrilled, but that's the draft. Okie doke. So, those are the first women's picks of the 2010 draft. Next up, we have got to quickly compile the list of women who are on Raw, barring Michelle McCool, Tiny Shiny, and Nikki Bella, and put them up for grabs in the draft as well. So, one moment, please. Okay, obviously, as you probably know, we did just take 3 from SmackDown, and we've got to go with the old rosters for the draft, so there are only 4 women up for grabs, so that doesn't really leave a whole lot to be drafted, but nonetheless, going to SmackDown will be first up. Yeah, make no mistake about it. Natalya is heading to SmackDown. There you go. Quickly take Natalya off of the wheel and find out who is going to be number 2. Oh, thank God. Really glad to see that. The other woman going to SmackDown will be the Divas champion, Kelly Kelly. I'm really relieved, because otherwise we would have had both titles on Raw, and we would have had to have tried to have gotten one off of Raw, which is a storyline in and of itself. I would do it. I would keep them both on Raw and then just do a storyline where the SmackDown women are chasing the Raw women's titles, trying to get at least one of them over to SmackDown, but that works better in the long run. So Kelly Kelly and Natalya find their way onto the SmackDown roster, whilst Michelle McCool, Tiny Shiny, and Nikki Bella, sorry for forgetting, I suppose you can't really blame me, find their ways onto Raw. So with that being said, Lay Cool is no longer a thing. But don't you worry, guys, because, whoo man, the best possible thing on Earth gets to be reunited. The Balor twins are officially a unit again. Hooray, he says, with full enthusiasm. So, I'll be sure to fix up their shtick in a bit, but the Balor twins are both on Raw now, so Raw is definitely the place to be. Now, for the actual full-on Superstars draft, I will be including tag teams as tag teams. We really can't afford to split any more of these up. So these, like, 6 teams that we've got, 7 teams, sorry. Or is it 6? 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 7. Sorry, I forgot SmackDown and WIKI down there. They will be getting drafted together to try and make sure that we don't lose any more teams, because at the moment we are very low on tag teams and I could really not afford to lose even more. SmackDown at the moment really needs this draft because it's only got 2. Straight Edge Society, oh no, it's got 3, yeah. Strowman, Straight Edge Society and Legacy, but we all know Luke Gallows is on his way out, so technically it's got 2. I think that's what I meant by that. By the way, ignore the news, I simulated to Extreme Rules Month rather than messing with the arena constantly, so all of this has already been undone. Sheamus is not the US champion. Michaels is not the WWE champion. As you can see, it just had to do something there. Anyway, so I'm going to take a quick pause, write up the rosters, figure out how many people are missing from SmackDown, and I suppose we'll do who SmackDown's taking first. Be right back. Okay, and we are back. I've just gotten the list ready on the randomizer. There are 25 people on Raw and 16 on SmackDown. So SmackDown will be getting an extra 4 picks, leaving SmackDown with 20 people and Raw with 21, which I guess makes up for the fact that SmackDown's got 6 women and Raw's got 5. It kind of balances out. In a way, yeah. Actually, it literally does balance out. They'll have the same number of people on their rosters. So anyway, we have got a total of 4 additional people going to SmackDown from Raw, as well as the traditional. I wanted to do just under half of each roster being drafted, so that it's very changed up. And that's going to be about 9 I'm going to go with. Obviously, they're 20 each, roughly. So rather than doing 10, I'm going to do 9, just to make it awkward. So, here we go. First pick up. And this will be one of the 4 bonus picks. Oh, I suppose technically this won't be one of the bonus picks. Actually, this will be one of the main picks. So number 1 going to SmackDown is a massive pick as Stone Cold Steve Austin finds his way onto the SmackDown roster. That's a pretty big way to start off a draft. I know he hasn't done much yet, but that could all turn around, to be honest. I'm going to do the randomizer whilst that saves for the next one. I haven't put tag people in as tag teams, but if one tag team person gets drafted, then I'll just move their partner with them. So next up, an absolutely gigantic draft pick. SmackDown gains a monumental name, and that name is The Ninefold. Oh, hang on. They're going to need to not have their enemies if they're moving. This is like a clean start, even if their enemies come with them. Don't know why he was enemies with Barrett and Gabriel, but The Ninefold wanted to take on the Nexus, it turns out. All this time, he's just been sitting there stewing, enraged by the fact that the Nexus exists on the same show as him. Next up, going to SmackDown, there's another big pick, quite literally. Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, finds his way onto the SmackDown roster. That's pretty big. That's pick number 3. Technically, they're going to get 13 picks in total. Well, no, technically about it. That is exactly what they're going to get. I don't know why I keep using the word technically. So that's number 3. Number 4 going to SmackDown is R-Truth. Again, I think he could really use a bit of a reboot. I think that's kind of the prime hope here, is that the people that go to SmackDown are going to be people that need that opportunity. So that's number 4, right? It's Stone Cold, The Ninefold, Mark Henry, R-Truth. That's 4. So now we're up to pick number 5. And number 5 going to SmackDown is the former United States champion, Wade Barrett. So he will be saying, I don't know why he's aligned with Sheamus, he'll be saying goodbye to his former Nexus enemies / friends and moving on with his life. But he won't be getting a US title rematch either. You know, unless of course, well, no, he didn't. He never defended it successfully, so he wouldn't get a rematch regardless. Don't know what I'm even going to say there. Pick number 6 is also pick number 7. Oh wait, no, I said that they were off the table. Whoops, let me re-roll that. I went to draft Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, is what that landed on. Then I realized that they are the World Tag Team Champions, and I did say that that title was off limits. So, sorry about that. Pick number 6, we'll be seeing the WWE Champion Christian drafted over to SmackDown. So that's pretty friggin' huge. Not only does he win the WWE title, but he gets away from, well, for now, he gets away from Triple H and Batista. Now he's just got to hope that they don't get drafted over with him. And also maybe hope that, like, Undertaker leaves, too. Just trying to make SmackDown as safe of a place for Christian as he can. Number 7 going to SmackDown. Unfortunately, he's not free of his old rival. John Morrison finds his way onto SmackDown with R-Truth. Don't think that their issues really exist anymore, but I just thought I'd mention it. So there's number 7. Okay. Just need to quickly make sure I removed all of Christian's enemies and stuff, because that's done now. No, I didn't. Yeah, he can officially move on from them now. So, now for number 8. Oh dear. Life's not going to be that much easier for Christian where he's going, because the next pick is Triple H to go to SmackDown, which means that Shawn Michaels will be coming too. So that's number 9 as well. That's the main draft done. As I said before, if one tag guy goes, the other goes, because we really don't have many teams at the moment, and I can't afford to split anymore. So Triple H and Shawn Michaels find their way over to SmackDown now. He was apparently already in a rivalry with Luke Gallows for some reason. What happened in that month I simulated? And we've got 4 more picks to go now to help balance out the SmackDown roster. So, without further ado, the first bonus pick to go to SmackDown is the Cruiserweight Champion, Zack Ryder, which will bring that title over to SmackDown with him, potentially. I say there are no guarantees just yet on what's going to be happening. If there aren't many Cruiserweights on Raw, then it will become Raw's objective to take that title back, and we will say it still belongs to Raw. But that's bonus pick number 1. We've got 3 more to go. So who else is going to SmackDown from the Raw roster? Oh, it looks like Zack Ryder's rival at the moment, Chavo Guerrero, will be chasing the Cruiserweight title over to SmackDown, which could help keep it on that brand. Basically, when it comes to the Cruiserweight title and the Hardcore title, I want to keep them on respective brands, one on SmackDown, one on Raw. But it comes down to which brand has the bigger Cruiserweight division, really. If there's only like Zack Ryder and Chavo on SmackDown, but there's loads on Raw, then that's staying on Raw. And the final 2 picks are in because they're both tag team partners. So Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston, the Altitude Alliance, find their way over to SmackDown just as well. And that will be the end of SmackDown's pickings from Raw. Be a total of 13 people that they just took from Raw, which obviously at the moment is making the Raw roster look incredibly empty. Because, well, it's just been cleaned out. It's just had over half of its roster taken away. But now we get to bulk it back out, don't we? So the Altitude Alliance are officially a part of SmackDown, as are D-Generation X. That's 2 tag teams that SmackDown could really use. However, I think Raw at the moment is literally just Swagger and Regal and the Celtic Cross. Yeah, that's literally all they've got on Raw right now. So that's pretty rough for them. Anyway, I'll be back in just a minute with the SmackDown. No, with the Raw draft, which will only be 9 picks, but that's the final part of the draft, so I'll be back in just a second. Okay, we are back, and that is a much, much smaller looking wheel. I've actually not included Luke Gallows, because as I said before, although he is still on the SmackDown roster, and I'm not quite done with him just yet, and this could actually be what breaks up the Straight Societies. I guess we'll say that they can be drafted separately. So if Punk ends up getting drafted away to Raw, then there you go. There's how they got split. Okay, let's go. So, first up, coming to Raw. Wow, that's a very underwhelming first pick. The first of 9 people coming to Raw is just Nemesis. Local resident rookie who somehow got into a rivalry with The Rock, Nemesis. He'll be the first one to come to Raw. It's kind of cool. He gets to stay on the same brand as Tiny Shiny. They've not yet had any association with each other, but hey, that's cool. So, 8 more to go. And there it is. There's the official transaction of the Cruiserweight and Hardcore titles as Vladimir Kozlov has been drafted over to Raw. That will help. That'll help take care of things. Wouldn't mind Randy Orton going to Raw, but obviously if both world titles wind up on SmackDown for a month, they just wind up on SmackDown for a month, and one of them will have to leave to Raw eventually. Yoshitatsu is the next big pick for Raw. Poor Raw, man. That roster has taken a hit. No disrespect to Vladimir Kozlov or Yoshitatsu, but like, Raw could really use some big names. Well, I suppose Raw's just going to become the land of opportunity. Because up next, another lesser used guy on SmackDown, very lesser used, Dolph Ziggler, is drafted over to Raw. That is, what is that so far? We've had Nemesis, Kozlov, Tatsu, Ziggler. It's 4. We're almost halfway through Raw's picks from SmackDown. And the next pick is Edge, number 5. Just recently failed to win the tag team titles with Chris Jericho, who has now taken his leave. And that's Edge. Oh dear. Oh. Well, there's 3 picks in one, because the Legacy have all been drafted to Raw. That'll take care of a lot of that. Let's take Ted, Randy Orton, and Cody off the list. That means there is just 1 pick left. And, no disrespect to Goldust, but the other 5 are pretty damn big names. Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, John Cena, The Rock, and The Undertaker. Also Goldust. Alright, yeah, Randy Orton. Yeah, focus. Well, I know Randy's going to be hoping that it isn't The Undertaker, because if it isn't The Undertaker, then he's free. He's gotten away from The Undertaker. He doesn't have to deal with that rematch or anything, because they're on separate brands, and the titles have been exchanged successfully. Christian went to SmackDown, and Randy Orton went to Raw, which means that there is no dispute over which brand owns what belts. SmackDown gains the WWE title, Raw gains the World Heavyweight, SmackDown gains the Cruiserweight, Raw gains the Hardcore. SmackDown gains the Divas, Raw gains the Women's. It's literally just the Intercontinental and US and the tags that are remaining on the same shows coming out of this one. And the final draft pick of the 2010 draft. Oh my. Another big one for Raw. Because... oh shit. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. The thing closed out. CM Punk finds his way onto the Raw roster, which effectively ends the Straight Edge Society. I am so sorry, Luke Gallows. But there you go. That is the 2010 draft completed. WrestleMania is in the books. And, the rosters have been successfully shaken up. Raw comes out of this with, well, in terms of tag teams, SmackDown's got Sheamus, SmackDown's got the Altitude Alliance, Raw has the Legacy, SmackDown has DX, Raw has the Celtic Cross, and Raw has Swagger and Regal. I think that is 3 teams on each show. Legacy, Celtic Cross, Swagger and Regal. Yeah, that's 3 tag teams on each show. That's not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. We'll have to try to form some new ones in the coming weeks. But for now, we have Kane versus Ted DiBiase, Yoshitatsu versus David Otunga in a submission match, Michelle McCool versus Tiny Shiny, and Randy Orton versus the 2010 Money in the Bank winner Jack Swagger in what is not a contenders match because Randy Orton is already the champion. I can't swap the belts yet. I know in WWE 12 that's a thing. You can change the belts. That's why I've let the champions. That's why I've let the champions be drafted, is because you can change the belts in WWE 12. But yes, that is the 2010 draft all done. Gonna have to do a lot of customizing the matches for the coming month of Universe, because it's gonna try and book Christian on Raw, Orton on SmackDown. It's gonna try and book Kelly on Raw. Michelle McCool on SmackDown and all that kind of stuff. I've got to do a lot of customizing, is what I'm basically trying to say. But I think we'll have some kind of like randomly thrown together tag tournament or something to try and put some teams together. Because as it currently stands, we're very low on those, and we could use at least a couple more. Or I'll just randomly form some. That probably makes more sense. I'll just randomly form some teams. Maybe one brand does a tournament and the other just kind of, here's some teams. Yeah, so that's gonna be the end of that. Oh, before I forget, leave the memories alone. Luke Gallows is out of here. The Straight Edge Society is finished. CM Punk is on his own, and be interesting to see if he's still gonna be wearing that mask or not. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode when things are very different. Bye.